a trophy right now. I feel confident about we've gotten the better part each and every time.
I wouldn't have signed Dak Prescott if now wasn't when we wanted to win.
He's one of the best, and he's going to lead us to championships.
I know what it takes to get there, and we'll do those things.
It's our turn, and it's on us.
Oh, my. All right, let's talk about that Cowboys defense. They were one of the best in the NFL at getting to the quarterback, thanks to Micah Parsons. However, and this is a big however, they really struggled on any given play, ranking 30th in yards per rush, 31st in yards per attempt. They're worse since 1963. Here is new defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus on his philosophy.
What concept or philosophy would you say is like the hallmark of the defensive philosophy that you have?
Yeah, pretty simple. We take the ball away. That's what we do. We stop the run, and we want to make exciting plays for our football team, and that's really what we do.
They've been pretty good at taking the ball away. I don't know about stopping the run, though. What are your expectations, Bug?
Well, I need them to be just a little bit more aggressive. Like, if you understand who Matt Eberflus is, at his core, he's going to be a four-man front. He's going to mix in cover 2, cover 3. He talks about stopping the run. Well, how do you do that? It's really a numbers game. You're going to have to bring that safety down and get that 8-man in the box or move your defensive line. So I just want him to be a little bit more aggressive. You're going to have an uber-talented player in Micah Parsons. So how do you make him and put him in the right position? Because that's the job of a coach. Put your best players in position to make plays. And I think Matt has to become more aggressive. The system he plays is the same system I played in. It's not necessarily an aggressive system. It allows your players to make a ton of plays from a simplistic standpoint. But I think he's got to be more aggressive with the football this day and age.
The other piece of it is, too, is we've watched this team be very good at turning the ball over. Under Dan Quinn, that was a huge reason this team led the league in scoring, was because they got extra possessions, because they put the football in the end zone as a defense, because they played on short fields. But the demise of this defense was not being able to stop the run. And to me, that's the thing he said second. That should have been the thing he said first. What are you going to do at the linebacker position to be more stout? What are you going to do in the interior of the defensive line to invert the line of scrimmage, to play on the other side of the football? I don't care how good Micah Parsons is. I don't care how many plays Trayvon Diggs can make on the outside. If you can't force teams into 3rd and longs and put teams behind the sticks, you won't get opportunities to turn the ball over, as Boog is alluding to here. By dropping that safety into the line of scrimmage or into the run front, you're going to leave yourself susceptible outside, but you won't get a chance to make plays if you don't play well on 1st and 2nd down.
And that really kind of leads into what I wanted to say about, what kind of philosophical approach is he going to really take? And Booger, you're talking about, look, stopping the run is a numbers game. Well, not if you're Philadelphia. Then you can still play too high and stop the run when you have monsters up front. And I think, quite honestly, when you're talking about monsters and you're talking about monsters in the interior, that's the number one thing from a personnel department standpoint that they have to do with this football team. They have to get bigger, more aggressive, more physical. So it's not always a numbers game. It's not always about committing more resources. It's about, we can whip your front with 7, and we can keep 4 in the back end, and we can still play too high. And look, obviously, the utilization of Micah Parsons is going to be huge. What Matt does with him is going to be critical. He cannot just be a static player. He can't be a guy that you know where he is all the time. And I think we all would agree that would be foolish to do. The kid is uber talented. He's multi-positional. Then you have to use him as a chess piece. But I think philosophically, when you're talking about stopping the run, and RC, you talked about the fact that should have been the thing that he started with, that starts with personnel. And that starts with big boys. And that starts with big boys that are nasty and that are willing to play the run with fury and earn the right to rush the passer and turn the football over on 3rd down.
And, Lewis, I completely agree with you. And this is a draft that's going to be loaded with big boys up front. I think, if anything, Philadelphia taught us you can't have enough defensive tackles. You can't have enough big bodies. But are the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones going to commit to that either through free agency or the draft? That's the key. It seems like with the Cowboys, we come back to the same issues. What is Jerry and Stephen going to do as far as acquiring the personnel that you and I are speaking of, Lewis?
Yeah, I think it's been many times that they've been good enough throughout the season. And so now you're not. You didn't stop the run well enough. You didn't run the football offensively well enough. And that's another thing that Brian Schottenheimer is going to have to change is the mentality. Lewis, you know this. Boog, you know this. Every team that you played on that was a great rushing football team, they learned how to stop a run because you saw it all off season. You saw it during training camp. There's going to have to be a philosophy push on making this team more physical up front in the run game on both sides of the football. And I think you can start that through free agency and the draft by putting an emphasis and priority on that.
Yeah, I mean, that is the key. It really is. You know, I think what Philadelphia has taught everybody this past year in particular, and Vic Fangio doesn't run a whole bunch of different stuff. They out-execute you and they play fast. But just like you guys feasted on people when you were down in Tampa, under Monty. That's what you did. The game somehow always returns back to really what is known and tried and true. It's about personnel, and Dallas has to get better personnel on the defensive side, and they better start up front. They better be watching the big men run at the combine. They better be at all the lifting sessions. They better do all the interviews, and they better load up on them, because if you don't, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
Just listen to Lewis. There you go. He's got the game plan. Hey, we were all sitting here last year back. I just can't forget that, RC, talking about that run game. We couldn't believe that they did not address that in the offseason. And that played out in such a big way during the year. Anyway, we could talk about Dallas all day, but we are not going to because we want to talk about Baltimore. They keep coming up short in the playoffs. Is personnel the problem? Like, what is the problem? Here what RC thinks about
the Ravens come up short of the Super Bowl the past 2 seasons. Baltimore's core issue is this. It doesn't play its best football in January.
He dropped the ball. Third turnover by the Ravens.
The Ravens are 3-5 in the playoffs with Jackson under center, and in this year's divisional round, outplayed the Buffalo Bills and lost thanks to 3 turnovers. This was uncharacteristic for a team that turned it over just once over the previous month. So what changes? People with Baltimore that I've spoken to swear the team doesn't play tight in the playoffs. But necessary improvements this offseason could make January's success more attainable.
At the moment time, it's like it's not going our way. We need to figure that out.
The defense could use at least one playmaker, particularly in the secondary, which struggled early in the season. The offense needs a vertical receiving threat to complement Zay Flowers, and re-signing left tackle Ronnie Stanley is a priority. Regardless, Baltimore is positioned to capitalize on Jackson's prime with an overdue breakthrough.
So that's a question. Why haven't they ever won multiple playoff games in a season with Lamar Jackson? Is it a missing piece, a lack of execution? What is it, Lewis?
Look, to me, really, it's a matter of execution with this football team. Look, there's always pieces that you feel as though you could accentuate what you